Hey everybody, Jason Bernays here, and I'm going to combine these two stories because I think that for those that don't understand who Edward Bernays is, the literal godfather of propaganda and what would become public relations, PR, okay, and what he had to say when he decided to not only, basically manufacture this term. He's the one that coined it. He coined the term propaganda, but write an entire book. And in the opening of that book, in the first really 3 pages, he lays out who's really in control and how they mold the minds of men. And that's why you hear me sometimes use the term Bernaysian talking points. And we've got some new Bernaysian talking points that we're going to be talking about, aka this push for the normalization of robotics to somehow enter our lives, replace human beings, be at the forefront of our law enforcement and medical fields. And this is extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, our 3-letter agencies are allowed to say whatever they like on behalf of Big Pharma. And we're going to show you that as well. Okay? And we're going to show you that we now have DARPA dogs in Hawaii that are at homeless encampments around the unclean, right? These are the unclean. And they're able to test for COVID, right, from 7 feet away. I warned you. I told you it wasn't just for Singapore. I warned you, and here it is. So before we get there, guys, what I do need you to do is thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. As you know, we're fully demonetized on YouTube. Fully. No making money here. That's fine. We've also had our channel taken down a couple of times. We also get selectively enforced strikes at the weirdest moments, and we never know if we're going to be around. But at the same time, we're not here to preach to the choir. We want to reach out to others. So, again, send everybody the videos. Let them know they can not only see all my videos, but my documentary films, which we'll get to in a moment, are also 100% free on the platform. We got the GoFundMe down below. Odyssey's backed up my channel just in case. Thank you so much, Odyssey. We like these alternative platforms. But the real platform I'm at, are we at 40,000 strong yet? Probably not. We're trying to get there. We've been eking our way to 40,000. We're close. We're close. But if you want to see, for instance, the full 35-minute interview with Paul Wittenberger, the director of COVIDland, instead of just the 20 minutes or so that you got over on YouTube because it gets a little too spicy for YouTube, come on over, make the free account, okay? And to do that, and you have access to all sorts of videos that can't be on YouTube. In fact, Iowa, okay? Number one, I'm going to be at the Davenport School Board meeting, filming and possibly speaking on top of that, because it's about that time. Because, my nieces are in the district over, and I don't want to see children being tortured, essentially. And I'm going to fight back against that. So I hope other people will do that if they're in the area. It's going to be at 5 p.m., I believe, on the 25th. So if you can make it, please come down. Again, at least make that free Rockfin account and get outside the talking points and Bernaysian propaganda that we're about to discuss. Okay? Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture, free here and everywhere. Okay? Please send these links out. If you got hard copies, make other copies. We talked about that with Paul Wittenberger today, right? You buy the DVD, you make copies, you hand them out. It's the way to go. People watch physical media a lot, okay? So let's start with Edward Bernays. First of all, I got to tell you, I could have worked a little bit harder on the thumbnail. Spent probably about 25 minutes on it. That's Bernays over there on a nice Hawaiian vacation, DARPA dogs. I like the little beach goer there. I thought it was fun, right? I thought it was fun. Anybody can get this book right now. It's right now. It's not a big deal. You can get it. You can read it for yourself. It's very short, actually. I highlighted this section in Invisible Empire for the very reason we're going to be talking about these Bernaysian talking points. Propaganda, okay? So what is propaganda? How is he going to frame this, okay? Okay, let's just get down. Just one more down. And here we go. Here's his contents. The first one is organizing chaos. What does that sound like to you? I mean, think about that. Order out of chaos? So let's read this right here. I'm obviously on the wrong side, but I'll read it like this. The conscience and intelligence manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. So out of the gates, he's like, for democracy to work, we have to intelligently manipulate the people. Okay, all right, do we? Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. So really in the first paragraph, he lets you know that those that are, in front of you, okay, this is around the turn of the century, right? They're not really the biggest power structure. You get it? We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. Our invisible governors are in many cases unaware of the identity of their fellow members in the inner cabinet. Let's discuss that. This is also kind of the basis of where our national security state goes, right? Compartmentalization, especially when we get to the Manhattan Project and then subsequent Born Classified projects after that, where the inner workings, a lot of the players don't even know who each other are. Think about that, okay? Putting it out there. There are those we see. There are those we see in, just ghost-like instances and whispers, and there's probably those we don't see at all. They govern us by their qualities of natural leadership. Natural leadership, right? Those bloodlines. Okay? Again, this is a social Darwinistic mindset. Their ability to supply needed ideas and by their key position in the societal structure. Whatever attitude one chooses to take towards this condition, it remains a fact that in almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons, a trifling fraction of our 120 million. Now let's stop there before I go further, okay? Because he tells you who they are. They understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses, okay? These foundations, these unaccountable oligarchs. That's what he's talking about. It's not the 1%. It's not 1 out of 100. It's not 1 out of 1,000. It's not even really 1 out of 10,000, guys. A trifling fraction, and that remains true today. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind, who harness old social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world. Okay? Now, I'm going to skip over this because it basically just trashes the Constitution and says, hey, you know what I mean? Basically, we're going to pick it up right here. Invisible government in the shape of rudimentary political parties arose almost overnight. Ever since then, we have agreed for the sake of simplicity and practicality that party machines should narrow down the field of choice to 2 candidates, or at most 3 or 4. So even then, this over 100, this 100 years ago. And I would encourage people to check out the Century yourself. I'll show people that and where they can find that in this video as well. But he's laying it down for you. They've already rigged the game. And it's a rig we didn't get out of. And it's illusion, that right-left illusion, right, that is still controlling people. No one's coming to save you from the Republican Party. I got a lot of people commenting on the Rand Paul video. Listen, the world's not black and white. Rand Paul could go way farther. He's far from perfect, but I am going to highlight when any politician speaks the truth, right? But we're also going to be talking about stuff like this, okay? In theory, every citizen makes up his mind on public questions and matters of private conduct. In practice, if all men had to study for themselves the obtrusive economic, political, and ethical data involved in every question, they would find it impossible to come to a conclusion about anything. See, they're too dumb to figure it out for yourself. And then he says, we have voluntarily agreed to let an invisible government sift the data and high spot the outstanding issues so that our field of choice shall be narrowed to practical proportions. Now think about that. That means we're trusting of these leaders. And who are these leaders? Well, the leaders and the media they use. Oh, the media they use. Wow. To reach the public. We accept the evidence and demarcation of issues bearing upon public questions. Oh, from some ethical teacher, be it a minister, right? A favorite essayist, or merely prevailing opinion. See that prevailing opinion? Oh, we accept a standardized code of social conduct to which we conform most of the time. Okay? And this is where he leads into propaganda. But I'm going to let anybody out there, because at the bottom it says, all right, it might be better to have, instead of propaganda and special pleading, committees of wise men who would choose our rulers, dictate our conduct, private and public, and decide upon the best types of clothes for us to wear and the best kinds of food for us to eat. Micromanaging everything through your life through hidden dictates and manipulation 100 years ago. Okay? So that's going to bring me here. That's where we're going to get. We're going to get to right here. Robo dogs. And I kept telling you, you know, they're busting down society right now. They're getting ready for an automation nation. Slaves in UBI, they don't mind defund the police or getting rid of all these healthcare workers because they want to bring in an automated system for the serf class where robots will follow their programming no matter what. Let's take the human element out of it. And you know, before I play this is how Bernaysian we've got. Now, I shouldn't question the CDC, okay, especially when they're saying something on behalf of, if you look under here, right here, it says that's J&J, right? And then the mRNA one, and then Moderna, right? So you're basically trusting these companies, right? But they're all basically saying that somehow the boop boops are the best thing since breakfast, okay? They're saying that basically, if you don't have shots, you're dying more of other things than people that get shots. So somehow these are like your super vitamins. You know, that's how I'm interpreting it. I should never question the CDC, ever. But that's the headline, okay? And someone didn't even believe that the CDC would say that. And so here's the actual article. You know, obviously there's a lot of fake news out there, but this is what they're putting out there, folks. Bernaysian talking points. I'd love to see the actual source data on that. And like I said, anybody can go to my Twitter and check it out. I've retweeted it. That's how you find the Century of Self, which as an old man, Bernays tells you all these things, how he got women to smoke, all sorts of stuff. But let's cut to Hawaii and find out how awesome it is that DARPA dogs are going to help fight COVID, right? That's awesome.
And the Honolulu Police Department provided an update on its newest tool, a robot dog. Spot, the $150,000 robot purchased earlier this year, is used to screen individuals at homeless sites on Oahu. HPD says since the start of the pandemic, the sites have taken in more than 1,700 homeless individuals and have had only 14 positive COVID cases. They believe the mitigation procedures put in place and other technologies such as Spot have helped keep the numbers down.
Having the ability to deploy something that can do all the interaction with someone on a mobile platform and take the possibility of transmission out of the equation, for me, I really don't think that over the long term, $150,000 is a waste.
No more human interaction. We want contact tracers that aren't law enforcement, that aren't registered nurses or healthcare workers. We also want them to give out judgments, but we'll also have robots, right? We want drone perimeters in New York, like the one Kelly Hochul's setting up, right? You see this? From 7 feet away.
Spot is able to take a person's temperature from 7 feet away in a fraction of a second. It also has two-way communication capability and can deliver PPE, food, and water to someone who does test positive for COVID.
Oh, thank you. My interactions will be with the robot once you deem me unclean. Aloha from Hawaii. And Hawaii has some of the worst restrictions right now. You know, again, these restrictions are selectively enforced in different areas. I am blessed to be living in Iowa, but at the same time, they're coming for your kids, they're coming for your kids, they're coming for your kids, and you know it. So the links are down below. You want to support this broadcast, $9.99 a month for the premium on Rockfin. You endorse Jason Bermas, you get everybody else. $99.99 for the year, right? Saves you $20, which is awesome. And then you get everybody's premium content. I put throwbacks up for premium or stuff that's available elsewhere. I'll probably throw up my Wrist Flex interview from this week over for premium maybe today, and that's about it. But you're supporting the broadcast, and we're trying to grow, and I can't do it without your help. You know, this building, I'm basically going to put everything into it if I can get it, and then it's really on. It's on like Donkey Kong. You think I do a lot of content now? Guys, I got things in the work you wouldn't believe. So I love you. It's not about left or right. It's always about right and wrong. We must become the great resistance to all of this tyranny right now. It is in our face and before us. See you on the flip side.